The air was thick with the scent of pine and cinnamon. The kind that wraps around you like a warm blanket on a crisp December morning in Maplewood, New Jersey. Emily Harper, 29, stood in front of her bedroom mirror, smoothing the folds of her emerald dress, her auburn hair cascading in deliberate waves. Tonight was the night. Her heart raced with a cocktail of hope and nerves as she tucked a velvet ring box into her purse. 2 months ago, on a golden autumn hike in the Catskills, her boyfriend, Ryan, had dropped to one knee and proposed, the diamond catching the last rays of sunset. On top of that, she'd just clinched a promotion to senior marketing director at her firm in Manhattan. A dream she'd chased for 4 grueling years. Tonight, at her family's annual Christmas dinner, she was ready to share her joy, daring to believe her mother, Diane, might finally see her worth. But as she slipped on her coat, a whisper of doubt gnawed at her. Would this be the Christmas her family finally saw her? Or just another night of fading into the background? Emily was the middle child in the Harper family, a role that felt like a permanent seat in the shadows. Her older brother, Ethan, 32, was the family's golden boy, a cardiologist whose name was practically synonymous with success in their suburban enclave. Her younger sister, Sophia, 26, was the darling, a rising corporate lawyer whose charm and beauty earned her endless adoration. And then there was Emily, stuck in the middle, clawing for a sliver of the spotlight that seemed to shine effortlessly on her siblings. Growing up in their sprawling Maplewood home, Emily learned early that love was a currency she had to earn. Ethan's B grades were celebrated as triumphs, while Emily's straight A's barely warranted a glance from Diane. Sophia's teenage tantrums were dismissed as spirit. But if Emily raised her voice, she was ungrateful and sent to her room. By high school, she was bagging groceries at the local ShopRite and tutoring kids after school. Not because the Harpers needed the money, but because Emily thought her contributions might make her visible. She saved every penny to buy Diane thoughtful gifts, orchids for Mother's Day, a silver bracelet for her birthday, a curated basket of her favorite teas for Christmas. Yet Ethan's last-minute gift cards and Sophia's mall-bought trinkets always stole the show, earning hugs and praise that Emily could only dream of. College was supposed to be her escape, a chance to carve out her own identity. She chose marketing at NYU, drawn to its blend of creativity and strategy, the way it could tell stories that moved people. But when she shared her major with her family, Diane's face twisted into a grimace. "Marketing?" she said, her voice dripping with disdain. "That's just fluff, Emily. Why not something real, like Ethan's medicine or Sophia's law? Something that matters." The words cut deep, but Emily pushed forward, graduating magna cum laude and landing a job at a boutique marketing firm in Manhattan. She poured herself into her work, late nights, early mornings, extra projects, climbing the ladder one step at a time. Every milestone, every campaign that went viral, she called home to share, only to hear Diane pivot to Ethan's latest publication or Sophia's courtroom victories. "That's nice, honey," Diane would say, "but did I tell you Ethan's presenting at a conference in Boston? Or Sophia just landed a huge client?" Beyond her fight for recognition, Emily was the family's invisible lifeline. For 3 years, she'd been quietly propping up their finances. When Diane's SUV payments became a burden after her father, Tom, hit a rough patch with his consulting business, Emily started sending $2 a month to cover them. When Tom needed emergency heart surgery, she wired $5 to bridge the gap their insurance wouldn't cover. She paid $3 for Sophia's bar exam prep course after her sister blew her trust fund on a Bali getaway. And when Ethan's student loans went into default during his residency, Emily drained $6 from her savings, money she'd earmarked for a down payment on an apartment, to bail him out. Diane insisted she keep it secret, claiming it would humiliate Ethan and Sophia. So Emily stayed silent, her sacrifices buried under a facade of family harmony. Her support wasn't just financial. At 25, Emily spent her entire vacation week helping her parents move into their new Maplewood house, painting walls and unpacking boxes while Ethan was too busy with his practice and Sophia was swamped with depositions. She dog sat their rambunctious labradoodle, despite her allergies, sneezing through weekends with a box of Claritin. When Tom's surgery kept him in the hospital, Emily was the one driving him to follow-ups, sitting with Diane in the waiting room for hours, while her siblings sent their best wishes from afar. Yet even these acts of devotion couldn't stop Diane's comparisons. Her endless refrain that Emily's life paled next to Ethan's and Sophia's. Christmas morning in Maplewood was a picture of tradition. The Harper house glowed with white twinkle lights draped over a towering evergreen, its branches heavy with red and gold ornaments Diane had collected over decades. The air carried the comforting aroma of gingerbread cookies and fresh coffee. Underscored by Bing Crosby's crooning from the old stereo, Emily arrived at 10 a.m., her arms laden with meticulously wrapped gifts, her heart pounding with anticipation. Ryan was with his family in Seattle, but they'd planned a joint celebration when he returned. She'd kept her engagement ring hidden, wanting to announce it in person. To see her family's faces light up, Tom greeted her at the door with a bear hug, his eyes crinkling with warmth. "There's my marketing superstar," he said, taking her gifts. "How's the new gig going?" Emily beamed. "Actually, Dad, I've got some big news to share tonight. Can't wait to hear it." "Kiddo," he replied, his voice full of genuine interest. But then Diane appeared in the foyer, her gaze sweeping over Emily like a scanner. "Emily, that dress," she said, her tone sharp. "Green washes you out. I've told you 100 times it doesn't suit your skin tone. And your hair, did you even brush it?" Emily forced a smile. "Merry Christmas, Mom. I spent an hour on my hair this morning." Diane shrugged. "Should have spent 2. Look at Sophia's new blazer, chic, professional. You could learn a thing or two from her." In the living room, Sophia lounged in a sleek navy suit, her law firm's logo practically glowing on her. Ethan, in a cashmere sweater and designer watch, scrolled through his phone, likely fielding hospital emails. Late as usual, Sophia teased, though Emily was barely 5 minutes behind schedule. The gift exchange unfolded predictably. Ethan's generic gift cards from Saks earned Diane's gushing praise. "So thoughtful." Sophia's gift, a weekend at a Napa Valley vineyard, sparked excited chatter. Emily's gifts, a monogrammed leather planner for Sophia and a handcrafted photo book of family memories for her parents. "Got a cursory, that's nice, dear," from Diane before she pivoted to Ethan's new Rolex. A gift from a colleague. As the day wore on, Emily helped in the kitchen, chopping vegetables and setting the table while Diane fussed over the turkey. "Sophia shouldn't have to do this," Diane said, not looking up from her cranberry sauce. "She's been working so hard." Emily bit her tongue. She just pulled a 60-hour week herself. But that never seemed to count. By the time dinner was served at 3 p.m. sharp, the dining room gleamed with Diane's heirloom china. Emily sat between her youngest cousin and an empty chair once occupied by her late grandfather, waiting for the perfect moment to share her news. During a lull, her grandmother, Margaret, turned to her. "Still at that little ad agency, Emily?" "Marketing firm, Grandma," she corrected gently. "And actually, I've got some exciting news," Diane cut in, her voice icy. "Emily thinks making ads is a real career. I keep telling her she should go back to school for something substantial, like nursing or education." Emily's cheeks burned, but she pressed on. "Marketing takes strategy and analysis, Mom, and I just got promoted to senior director. I'll be leading my own team." Her Aunt Laura chimed in. "That's fantastic, Emily." But before Emily could bask in the moment, she pulled out the ring box. "And there's more," Ryan proposed. "We're engaged." She opened the box, the solitaire sparkling under the chandelier. A beat of silence followed, then polite murmurs of congratulations. Tom's face lit up, and Margaret squeezed her hand. But Diane's expression remained stone cold. "When did this happen?" Sophia asked. "October," Emily said, her voice warm with the memory. "On a hike in the Catskills. It was perfect." Diane's eyes narrowed. "October? And you're just telling us now? Always so secretive, Emily. No wonder we never know what's going on with you." The criticism stung, but Emily held her ground. "I'm not secretive, Mom. I wanted to share this in person. As a family." Ethan piped up. What does Ryan do again? High school English teacher, Emily said proudly. Diane snorted. A teacher? Well, I suppose it's stable. At least. The table fell quiet again, the weight of Diane's words hanging heavy. Dessert was served, pecan pie and whipped cream, and Diane launched into a glowing monologue about Ethan's latest journal article and Sophia's six-figure settlement. Emily waited, hoping someone would circle back to her engagement or promotion. No one did. Then Diane turned to her, her voice cutting through the chatter. Emily, I've been thinking about this engagement. I'm worried about Ryan. What kind of man proposes to you? You're 29, stuck in a dead-end job, living in a shoebox apartment. And you've never done anything noteworthy. You're the most useless child we have. The room froze. Forks clinked against plates. Even Ethan and Sophia looked stunned. Emily's heart pounded, her vision narrowing to Diane's smug face. For years, she'd swallowed the insults, the comparisons, the dismissal of her worth. But tonight, something snapped. A fire ignited inside her, fueled by decades of suppressed hurt. She stood, her chair scraping against the hardwood floor, and locked eyes with her mother. If I'm so useless, she said, her voice steady but blazing, then stop calling me when you need money. The silence was deafening, broken only by the faint tick of the grandfather clock in the hall. Diane's face drained of color. What are you talking about? She stammered. Emily pulled out her phone, opening her banking app with trembling but resolute fingers. Let's talk about the $2 I've been sending you every month for 3 years to cover your SUV payments because Dad's business was tanking. Or the $5 for Dad's heart surgery. The $3 for Sophia's bar exam prep. The $6 for Ethan's student loans when he couldn't pay them. Want to see the receipts? I've got them all right here. She held up her phone, scrolling through transactions. September 2022, $2 to Diane Harper. October 2022, $2 to Diane Harper. March 2023, $5 to Tom Harper for medical bills. June 2023, $3 for Sophia's exam fees. Gasps rippled around the table. Her Aunt Laura's mouth fell open. Margaret's eyes narrowed at Diane. Tom shook his head, his face a mask of shock. You want to know what kind of man proposes to me? Emily continued, her voice rising. The kind who sees I've been bankrolling this family while you call my career meaningless and my life pathetic. The kind who knows I've sacrificed my dreams to keep you all afloat. But congratulations, Mom. The bank of Emily is officially closed. She grabbed her purse and coat, her heart pounding with a mix of fury and liberation. As she stormed toward the door, Diane's voice faltered. Emily, wait. But Emily didn't turn back. She stepped out into the snowy Maplewood night, leaving behind a stunned family and a mother who, for the first time, had no words to wield against her. The Christmas lights twinkled, but for Emily, the real light was the truth she'd finally set free. The snow crunched under Emily Harper's boots as she stepped out into the biting December air of Maplewood, New Jersey, her breath visible in the glow of the Christmas lights strung along the eaves of her childhood home. Her heart still pounded from the confrontation that had just unfolded at the dinner table, where she'd laid bare the truth. For years, she'd been the silent financial backbone of the Harper family, funneling thousands of dollars to cover her mother's SUV payments, her father's medical bills, her brother's student loans, and her sister's bar exam fees, all while being labeled the most useless child by her mother. Diane, as she slid into her car, the weight of her words settled over her like a storm breaking after years of oppressive silence. For the first time in her 29 years, Emily felt a spark of something new, freedom. Raw and unapologetic. But what would come next? Would her family crumble under the truth? Or would they finally see her? As she drove away, her phone buzzed relentlessly, but Emily let it ring, knowing this was the beginning of a reckoning, not just for her family, but for herself. The dining room Emily left behind was a battlefield of stunned faces and fractured assumptions. Her words had detonated like a grenade, exposing the unspoken dynamics that had defined the Harper family for decades. Her father, Tom, sat frozen, his fork still hovering over his pecan pie, his eyes fixed on Diane with a mix of betrayal and disbelief. Her Aunt Laura, usually the peacemaker, stared open-mouthed, while her grandmother, Margaret, the family's unyielding matriarch, fixed Diane with a look that could have cracked ice. Even Ethan and Sophia, the golden siblings, seemed rattled, their usual confidence replaced by an uneasy silence. Diane's face, moments ago smug with superiority, had collapsed into a mask of panic. "Emily, wait," she called as her daughter reached the door. But her voice lacked its usual command. "Let's talk privately. This isn't for everyone to hear." Emily spun around, her eyes blazing. "Privately? You had no problem calling me useless in front of the whole family." "Mom, why should the truth be any different?" She didn't wait for a response. The door slammed shut behind her, leaving a room full of questions and a family forced to confront their complicity. Tom was the first to break the silence, his voice low but sharp. "Diane, is this true? Has Emily been paying our bills for years?" Diane stammered. "It's not what it sounds like, Tom. She was just helping out temporarily." "But Margaret," her voice steady. "Temporarily? She's been sending thousands every month. Patricia, and you let her, all while telling us she's not good enough." Laura nodded, her face tight with anger. "I always knew you were hard on her. But this is beyond unfair." Even Ethan, usually aloof, spoke up, his voice small. I didn't know about the loans. I thought Mom and Dad covered them." Emily's cousin, Jake, leaned forward. "You're serious, Emily? You paid for all that?" She nodded, her phone still open to her banking app. "I've got the receipts. Years of them." The room erupted into chaos. Laura demanded details, her voice rising. "How long has this been going on?" "Diane?" Tom's anger grew as he pressed. "Why didn't you tell me?" Margaret's disapproval hung heavy, her silence louder than words. Sophia, for once, had no witty comeback, her eyes glued to her plate. Ethan admitted, "I assumed you were fine. I didn't think to ask." Emily's voice was steady, cutting. "That's the problem, Ethan. None of you ever asked. You assumed I'd handle everything while you got the praise. Well, not anymore." Margaret finally spoke, her voice a quiet thunder. "Diane, I'm ashamed of you. Emily's been sacrificing her own future to keep this family afloat. And you've treated her like she's nothing. That's not just ungrateful, it's cruel." The words landed like a slap. And Diane's attempt to deflect, "Mother, you don't understand the whole situation," was met with Margaret's steely retort. "I understand enough. This girl's been working herself to the bone. And you've made her feel worthless. On her engagement day, no less." The room fell silent again, Diane's breath hitching as the weight of her mother's judgment sank in. Emily's drive home was a blur, the snowy streets of Maplewood fading into the background as her mind replayed the night. She'd spent her life chasing her family's approval, only to be met with criticism and dismissal. But tonight, she'd drawn a line in the snow. No more money. No more silent suffering. No more accepting less than she deserved. When she reached her small Jersey City apartment, she collapsed onto the couch, still in her emerald dress, her phone buzzing with missed calls. Tom, Ethan, Laura, even Diane. But for the first time, Emily didn't feel the urge to fix things. She wasn't the family's safety net anymore. Ryan flew back from Seattle 2 days early, finding her curled up, staring at her phone. "I can't believe I said it all out loud," she whispered, half laughing through tears. Ryan pulled her close, his voice steady. "I've been waiting for you to stand up to them. You weren't too harsh, you were honest. They needed to hear it." His words anchored her, a reminder that she was enough. Not because of what she did for others, but because of who she was. The calls kept coming. Tom was first, his voice heavy with regret. "Emily, I had no idea your mother was taking money from you. If I'd known, I would have stopped it. I should have stood up for you years ago." It was the first real apology she'd ever gotten from him, and it cracked something open in her chest. "It's not just the money, Dad," she said. "It's how I've been treated my whole life. Like I'm less than Ethan or Sophia. I'm done with that." Tom was quiet, then said, "You're right. I failed you there. I'm so sorry." Ethan called the next day, his tone softer than she'd ever heard. About the loans?" I thought Mom and Dad paid them. I feel awful. I want to pay you back. Emily shook her head, though he couldn't see. It's not about the money, Ethan. It's about you never asking if I needed help. Never noticing my struggles. You were fine letting me carry the load. He admitted. I thought you had it all together. I was wrong. I should have checked in. It wasn't enough to erase years of neglect. But it was a start. Sophia took 3 days to call. Her voice defensive. I don't get why you're making this a big deal. Emily. Families help each other. Emily's patience was thin. You called me difficult at dinner. Sophia. Right after Mom called me useless. Do you know how that feels? Have you or Ethan ever said anything kind about me? Ever celebrated my wins? Sophia faltered. I was joking. I didn't think. That's the point. Emily cut in. You don't think about me. You take me for granted while I'm treated like a burden. Diane's calls were relentless. 6 voicemails on December 26th alone. Each more frantic. Emily, this is ridiculous. Call me back so we can talk like adults. You're being selfish. This is upsetting your father. By December 28th, her tone softened slightly. Maybe I was too harsh at dinner. We can work this out. But it was December 30th when she finally said what Emily had waited years to hear. I was wrong. I'm sorry. You're not useless. You've been holding us together. And I've treated you terribly. Emily hesitated, her guard still up. It's not just dinner, Mom. It's my whole life. The comparisons. The dismissal of my career. My worth. Diane's voice broke. I know. I see myself in you. Emily. The middle child who felt invisible. I pushed you harder to make you stronger than I was. But I made it worse. I'm so sorry. Emily set her terms. Her voice firm. The money stops. Mom. No more payments. No more loans. No more bailing anyone out. And the criticism stops too. I won't be your punching bag anymore. Diane agreed. Her voice small. I'll do better. I promise. It was a start. But Emily knew trust would take time. 6 months later, Emily stood in a flowing white gown at a charming inn in the Hudson Valley. The summer sun casting a golden glow over her wedding to Ryan. The guest list was small. Curated with care. Only those who'd shown her genuine respect and love. Tom walked her down the aisle. Tears in his eyes. His pride palpable. Margaret sat in the front row. Her smile radiant. Diane was there. Dressed elegantly. Her usual critiques held in check. Though Emily could see the effort it took. Ethan and Sophia attended. Their congratulations warmer than she'd expected. A sign of shifting tides. At the reception, Tom's speech brought the room to a hush. Emily has always been the heart of our family. Even when we didn't see it. She's kind, fierce, and loyal beyond measure. Ryan, you're marrying a woman who moves mountains for those she loves. Don't ever take that for granted like we did. His words, a public acknowledgement of past wrongs, hit Emily like a wave, washing away years of hurt. Even Diane spoke, her voice measured. Emily, I'm sorry it took me so long to see the incredible woman you are. I hope you and Ryan build a beautiful life. It wasn't perfect, but it was progress. As Emily and Ryan swayed to their first dance, surrounded by friends and family who truly saw them, Emily felt something new. Unfiltered joy. No regrets? Ryan whispered. None. She replied, meaning every word. The girl who'd spent her life chasing approval was gone. Replaced by a woman who knew her worth and demanded it be recognized. The months after the wedding were a revelation. Without the constant drain of family demands, Emily's life transformed. She and Ryan bought a cozy house in Montclair, funded by the savings she'd built once she stopped subsidizing her family. They traveled, to Paris, to Santorini, creating traditions that were theirs alone. At work, Emily's focus sharpened, her confidence soaring. She led campaigns that won industry awards, earning a promotion to creative director. Her boss noticed the change. You're on fire. Emily, whatever's fueling you, keep it up. She was fueling herself, prioritizing her own dreams for the first time. Family dynamics shifted dramatically. Tom, horrified to learn the extent of Diane's reliance on Emily, insisted they attend financial counseling. He took a part-time job to stabilize their income, and Diane admitted they'd been living beyond their means. Ethan made real efforts, calling weekly to ask about her life, even seeking her advice on his own challenges. I never realized how much you were carrying, he said during a 2-hour call. The first time they'd truly connected as adults. Sophia remained distant, still prickly about the confrontation. But Emily accepted that not every relationship could be mended, and that was okay. Diane's change was slower, her instinct to criticize hard to break. But she caught herself apologizing mid-sentence or asking about Emily's work with genuine interest. During wedding planning, she offered suggestions carefully, just a thought. But this venue looks lovely, and praised Emily's choices. It felt awkward at first. But over time, it grew more natural. Tom threw himself into the wedding, researching vendors and offering to cover costs, as if making up for years of silence. Other family members rallied around Emily. Laura called regularly, admitting, "I saw the tension but didn't know how bad it was. I'm here now." Her cousin Jake helped with wedding logistics. And even distant relatives reached out, their support a quiet validation of her truth. Ryan's family became her sanctuary, their warmth and acceptance showing her what family could be. "Your family's so normal," she told Ryan after a drama-free dinner with his parents. He smiled. "Yours can be too. It just takes time." A year after the wedding, as Emily and Ryan sat at their kitchen table, Diane called with a story that stopped Emily cold. "I ran into Mrs. Carter at the grocery store," Diane said. "She asked about you, and I couldn't stop talking. Your promotion, your house. How proud I am. I realized I've never said it to you. Emily, I'm proud of you. Always have been. Even when I was too stubborn to show it." Emily's throat tightened. "Thanks, Mom. That means a lot." It wasn't the validation she'd once craved, it was better. Because she no longer needed it to feel whole. Emily's journey taught her that boundaries aren't walls, they're bridges to self-respect. Her worth wasn't tied to her family's approval but to her own truth. She was strong, generous, and capable. A woman who'd held her family together while building her own success. She learned that love doesn't have to be earned through sacrifice. And that chosen family, Ryan, his parents, her loyal friends, could fill the gaps left by those who'd failed her. Her story is a call to action. Know your worth. Demand respect. And never settle for less than you deserve. If Emily's truth resonates, share your own story. Have you ever had to draw a line with those who took you for granted? Your voice matters. Like, subscribe, and pass this on to anyone who needs to hear that they are enough. Just as they are. Emily Harper found her light in the shadow of her family's expectations, and so can you.